Yeah, YouTube makes this go like scheduled live thing so complicated that I get paranoid to do it. That's why I always have to give short notice. But I said, let me be tech savvy today and go ahead and go for it. Ndewo no everybody. Ndewo. I am in the central part of the United States, so let me turn on my own countdown clock so that I can keep track of when New Year countdown clock, right? I would assume you put where you live, okay? All right. Okay, I got 55 minutes. Okay, cool. Ndewo. Finally caught you live. It's been a minute. Adrian, man, I haven't seen your name in a minute. How you been? Ndewo Nwanne. Hey, Chief Ada Chinyere Njokweri 1 of Eri Kingdom. Welcome, Chief. Welcome. SC. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Glad to hear that. Ndewo Nwanne. Ndewo. Hey, we are here. We are here. We are here. I brought up the idea of going live yesterday. A couple of you guys said, yeah, go ahead and do it. So I don't know what I'm about to talk about. I have something that's kind of in my mind that I'd like to share, but I kind of want to just open the floor for just whatever you guys want to talk about. Go ahead and ask questions before I go into my spiel and everything like that. Once we get, let's go ambitious. Once we get 15 people in here, I'm going to do the Iwachi, and then I'm going to go ahead and commence with what I want to share. You know what? No, let's go very ambitious. Once we get 20 people in here, 20 people, but I'll answer questions up until that point. Is there an Igbo New Year? Good question. The answer is no. There's no Igbo New Year. Um, there is a New Yam festival that currently people use as an equivalent to a New Year. Of course, it's annual, and like when you do your new yam, you're commencing the beginning of a new season, a new planting season. But no, there's no singular Igbo New Year, and then communities didn't necessarily have a New Year. But there is a ritual that is done at the ending of the 13th moon. And this is a ritual pertaining to Igwe, the sky, Amadioha. And it goes with if a titled man will sacrifice a white ram and will set up an altar in front of the house. And then from there, proclaim all of the things that are going to happen in the year to come. And this makes it binding with Providence, with Amadioha, with Igwe. The women in the community will speak all of the bad things that happened, or all of the bad things that they don't want to happen in the coming year, into a pot, and they will smash the pot and sweep it outside of their homes. And this will happen before the Amadioha situation happens. But this is a ritual, so not everybody did it, but it's just something you can choose to do. But New Yam is the closest that Igbo people have to a new year. Very few communities counted years. Very few counted years. I think one of the oldest counting of years that I am aware of is from the Umueri clan. But that's not necessarily counting years, it's kind of counting dynasties as far as who's in charge and things like that. But yeah, most communities didn't count years, and yeah, that kind of thing. I'm getting money in my account on Monday. He said, okay, he said, I appreciate that, man. Yeah, that's always a good thing. Game of life. Looking forward to seeing you there. Yeah, looking forward to having you there. Are you in a garage? That light is bright. LOL. No, I'm actually in a basement. This is the basement I grew up in. If you're aware of my brother, Screwface Jean, and my other brother, Queso Big Dipper, they both do music reviews. They both started their channels out in this basement. We, the boys in the family, all took turns having this be our bedroom, and we've completely destroyed it. over time, though primarily the younger one, though he's gonna get, I don't know how he's gonna feel about me sharing that on live. Primarily the younger one. You know, he used to hide his little party supplies in the panels, and he partied so much that they started coming off. So I don't yeah, that light is really bright. I don't know what to do because if I turn it off, it'll be just pitch darkness. I don't have my little ring light. I wanted to go home. I'm not home. I'm in my where I grew up. I wanted to go home, right? But we decided to stay. I got voted out by my son and my wife. I got voted out to stay here a little bit longer, so that we can bring in the new year, of course, with my mom. And I'm a bad son for not recommending that, but I wanted to be home with my setup and lights and everything like that. So I don't know what to do about that. Yeah, I don't know what to do. I think there's supposed to be a screen blocking it, but it's whatever. You think you can dim the screen though. Hold on, let me open this. I'm just gonna. Oh, we're at 14. If we get 20 people in there, I'm gonna kick it off, and then I'll bless the new year for everybody. How about that? You know what? No, let me not. I don't want to touch my screen because I feel like I'll knock off the live. If anybody's saying anything right now, I can't see it. So let me. Oh, there we are. This is on mute. Get on mute. And there we go. Hey, who has New Year's resolutions? What's gonna happen in you guys? Let me know what's gonna happen in 2023. Let me know if you say resolutions. I was literally watching the last live when I got the notification. Yeah, okay, cool. You say I appreciate that. I appreciate that. Yeah, I appreciate that. I'm gonna be going, of course, going back to doing the regular full form videos. I have the one I'm supposed to release is done, but I actually want to finish another one before releasing it. So before I used to have like two ready at all times, and once we started Kedu, it's been a huge undertaking, right? And so it's been hard to do both. So I want to have the two. I've now mastered the Kedu situation, and I want to have the two so that I can go back to my regularly scheduled program, which is fine because the Medicine Shell's birthday, I believe, is actually February. So by February, we'll be back to normal, right? So everything comes full circle, right on time. No Gitchy, no Gitchy. I don't know if it's New Year resolution, but I hope I can have a garden without killing literally everything. Yeah, yeah. I had to put my gardening dreams to rest. Um I had to put my gardening dreams to rest just because I moved to a new place and the way it's set up, it's just hard to have a garden balcony and a garden altar and everything like that. So I moved the altar indoors, but I'm going to look for some indoor plants to represent my ancestors, and I'm going to restart from there. One of the things my altar is currently missing is life. Is life. My previous apartment, which why this is why I have to buy a house because it's ridiculous. But my previous apartment, it was a garden, right? My altar was a garden, and it just felt different. It felt different. So it's made me learn now that as to represent my own chi, to represent myself, my own internal universe, there has to be life there. There has to be something growing, something that I feed, and that of course feeds me through being rewarded by seeing its growth and that kind of thing. So yeah, man, that or woman, I don't know who said that. I think Snapple and Cats. Or they, that garden is going to prosper this year. Naha Chineke. That garden is going to prosper this year. Naha Chineke. Let's see here. I thought February was the Igbo New Year. That's what Google told me. Yeah, well, Google tells you a lot of things. um, the moons start over in February. The no. Hmm. I need to check my calendar. So whenever Mardi Gras happens is the second moon, I believe, the first or the second moon. This is why I say there's no New Year. Some people will celebrate the second moon and not the first because in our ancestral understanding, things come in twos. So if you see two moons, then we're officially commencing with what's going on. But it's not a New Year's celebration. It's just a celebration of the second moon. If you want to call it a New Year's, that's fine. But New Year's would imply a counting of the years, which that's not what's going on. but that's just the celebration of the moon, right? Just the moon. It's a new moon celebration. It's for some communities they do the first, they don't do what I just said. Other communities will do the second, and the ones that do the second is in line. I believe they're the ones that are in line with Mardi Gras, that whole thing, because all throughout West Africa and Central Africa, there's a lot of festivals that happen exactly at that time, and they're usually like new beginning festivals, right? That kind of thing. But the ceremony I told you about with the pots and everything like that, and the breaking it, that is done on the 13th moon, you know, and the that kind of thing. So it's hard to say which one's the new year, that kind of thing. So, said yes, February. I start my year in February. You say that's good. That's good. That's good. What do you like to grow? Typically peppers. I like to grow habaneros, primarily. I think they're exciting to grow because they grow fast and they're very productive. So, if you know what you're doing. And so, yeah, habaneros, and they're very responsive to the level of care you give them. And then I kind of figured out a hack. I learned that if you like over water them, but if your thing filters very well, but you over water them, they grow really fast, So yeah. Are there Igbo affirmations for the new year? Yeah, of course, of course. I may share some today. Um, yeah, but there's general affirmations. You can use them for the new year, right? The whole Igbo language is an affirmation. So, but yeah, I'll share some today. Adrian, what do you want to learn as far as an affirmation? Is there a specific affirmation you're looking for, or a specific thing you got in mind? We can then go ahead and share that. Let's see here. I think we hit 20. He said, all right, let's go ahead and begin. I'm glad we did this. We have officially hit 20 people. Let us go ahead and begin. Okike keruwa, alawala, ala nne mmadụ na nne mmụọ, ala na-enye ndụ, ala na-enye ike, ala na-enye ihe ọma n'ụwa. Anyị ji obi ọma na-ekele gị. Anyị ji obi mmadụ na mmụọ na-ekele gị. Anyị ji obi ụmụ kpakpando na ụmụ aja na-ekele gị. Obi ndị mbụ na ndị egede, ndị mmadụ na ndị mmụọ, obi ọma, obi na-acha acha, ọ nke ka anyị ji na-ekele gị n'ụwa. Ị ga-adị na anyị dị. Na ọnụ na-eme na mmụọ bụ na anyị na-eme na mmadụ. Anyị bụ otu aka, anyị bụ otu uche, anyị bụ otu anya, anyị bụ otu ihu, anyị bụ otu ije, mana anyị ji otu ije aga n'ụwa. Nọ n'ofuru m bụ nọ m dị. Aka m dị ọcha, obi m dị ọcha, ihu m dị ọcha, ije m na-aga dị ọcha, mana ọ bụ ije Chineke kere ka m gaa n'ụwa. Ọ ga-adị nnọọ n'eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ. Said trusting my intuition would be a good information. Adrian, I can't come up with anything off cuff. So if you can message me, I'll send you something. If you can message me, I'll send you something. I don't know if you're on Patreon, or send me an email if you're not. Hold on. He said, very good. Yeah, so we can talk about affirmations, everything like that. But just coming off the top of my head, it's just like saying, are there affirmations in English? I couldn't, that kind of top tier. I like how you said that. I'm VIP, top tier. All right, perfect. Yeah, message me on Patreon. We'll go into a whole thing about it. All right, I'll break it down for you. Ndi Patreon, kwenu. Ndi Patreon, kwenu. Ndi eze tier, kwezienu. Aha. Are you saying kelegi or something else when you do the prayer? Oh, very good question. I say ani, we, na ekelegi. we are greeting you. Now, why do I say that? Because when, let's call it a prayer, when you're doing a prayer ancestrally, you are greeting everything that you are praying with, right? I think that's the term I'm going to start using, is praying with, rather than praying to. Okay, everything, every person you are praying with or to, you greet them. You say you greet, right? So in what I did, I said, I used kelegi aine kelengi to the creator, to the earth, and then various forces and different things that I felt were relevant and valid and that kind of thing at the moment. Though there are more that are relevant and valid that I didn't get a chance to mention, just because I will move. All right, awesome. My resolution is to not make resolutions. Wisdom, that's wisdom. You say I make a resolution every day. I don't know if anybody else does that. I'm a to-do list person. To-do lists have saved my life, so I call those are resolutions. I make one every day. Though I haven't made one in about a week because I've been in an abnormal. I've been here, so I've just been relaxing with my mom, binging on Nigerian movies. And let me tell you guys, the way Odinani is depicted in the newer movies is very, very encouraging. A lot of the pushback that, I'm very sorry about this glare, by the way, we're just gonna have to deal with it. But a lot of the pushback we get traditionally at home is from the ideas that Nollywood has put into people's heads, especially young people. And I've just seen this huge shift. I've seen about 3, 4 movies now where things are depicted like very accurately, very in a very dignified and accurate way. And it blew my mind. I'm gonna get some titles. Maybe I'll make a video on movies to check out or something. I don't know. And these are great. These are really good movies. I'm watching one right now where there is this woman. She is the leader of the women, which you don't see in the older Nollywood movies, right? You never see, you just see the Igwe. You never see the Omo, right? If you have an Omo, an Igwe, you're gonna have an Omo. You never see the leader of the women. So she's the leader of the women, and then there's the Igwe, the leader of the men, and the leader of the women is trying to. I don't know what's going on. They're watching it right now. Get something from the Igwe for him to agree on something, and then they've got this lady who's a witch. But then they have this guy who knows that the witch stole something from one of the masquerades to give her power, and he's trying to get it back. And they're both using Nsi, right? What we would otherwise call Juju. They're both using this thing to fight each other, where before it used to just be the evil person would know the Nsi, and then the good person would come with the Bible, and then, to God be the glory. So that was different. There was another movie I saw where there was, of course, an Igwe, and then there was Ndi Ozo Nanze. Nze no Ozo, I don't know why I can't speak. Nze no Ozo people. And in this one, the Nze no Ozo people were the bad guys. And so the prince, because they were using the culture to they were lying about the culture and use it to gain power and manipulate people. So the prince set out on a mission to learn the real culture. And then his guide told him that he must speak to this tree, and this tree, the spirit of this tree, all of his ancestors have touched this tree, and all of the kings have touched this tree, and their spirit will speak to him through this tree. And then he did it, and all this. I was like, well, there you go. And these are good plots and everything like that, right? So 3 or 4 of them I've seen like this, and my mom has been kind of saving them for me, which is awesome. So yeah. Nollywood has really stepped it up. I'm very happy about that. I just watched a Yoruba movie. I forgot the spelling on Netflix the other day. It was a journey. That's good. I don't really watch too many of the ones on Netflix. I like the ones on YouTube. But they just make me feel like I'm watching the ones I used to watch, in the early 2000s, because they're not that different. But it's not that one's better than the other. I need to catch up on the ones on YouTube, because not YouTube, Netflix. Everyone I've seen on Netflix is good, but typically if I'm watching Netflix, which I almost never do, I'll just watch something American. But yeah. I don't know why it hit Adrian's comment. Show. I watched a year. Okay, no. Called Bread of Life. That shit had crying at the end. Yeah, man, there's some good ass movies. Yeah, there's some good ass movies, man. What are we talking about? I'm late person. We're talking about absolutely nothing. We're just hanging out. Yeah, we're just hanging out. Oh, for real, I enjoyed King of Boys on Netflix. I've started King of Boys. I haven't finished it, but yeah, it's really good. It's not that I didn't finish it because it's not good, but I just haven't got around to finishing it. But King of Boys is good. I think the last Netflix one I watched was like something about daddy or something, where like they had the guy and I think his will, and everybody was confused about the will because he had a whole bunch of mistresses and hidden kids and all kinds of stuff like that. Something daddy something, I don't know, but yeah, my mom got me into King of Boys. He said that's dope, that's dope. Which movie did you see? I want to look forward to watching Udochi. I'll probably share them on the Patreon. I'll probably share them on the Patreon. Yeah, I'll probably because they're good. And like, my mom just has like is like in a she just hangs out and watches them all day. So she knows all the titles. I don't. So I gotta go upstairs, talk to her. And then once that happens, I'll just post them on there. You can watch them on there, that kind of thing. That's dope. Yeah, no, they're really stepping it up. They're really, and I know the Netflix ones are really good. When I say stepping up, I don't mean like production quality, though the production quality is improved. I mean like how they treat the culture. Because trust me, like there was a point where Nollywood was a way bigger issue than anything like you can list as far as um uh keeping us connected and keeping us knowledgeable of who we are and our culture and things like that. Um the very early days of Nollywood, it was a huge problem. So it's crazy that they've done this very strong pivot, and ta-da, the movies are better. So, Adrian said, "Oh, VIP, you should watch Neck of the. I've definitely watched Neck of the Serpent. I think there's a new Neck of the. Oh, yeah, I've seen Neck of the Serpent, the original one, right? And then I've seen the one on Netflix. And the one on Netflix is another example. Because when they went in the original one, when they went to go be evil, they were doing, Odinani type stuff, Odinani themed evil. And then in this one, it was like Catholic themed. In fact, I think they went to Europe to go do it. And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's different. I knew that was a very deliberate decision. It was a very conscious decision. And the person who did it, that is appreciated on my end. So I've seen Neck of the Serpent on the first one and on the second one. There's a lot to that Neck of the Serpent story, too. There's a lot there because it's actually a very old story. It's a new telling of a very old story. And if you look at the movements in it, it kind of follows the pattern of the Chuku or the Chineke story, the Odachi Nebere, right? And there are many versions of this particular story in Igbo land. I told the version where she opens the door and blows up, or like an explosion kills her. There's another version where she opens the door and a comet comes out, and it's the comet that kills her. There's another version where Chuku gets mad that she opened the door, so he tears her apart. And then there's a whole bunch of versions where it's Chuku that kills Eke. And those particular ones where he's the one that kills her, or the thing he's doing ends up killing her, and he doesn't want it to happen. Those particular ones, if you follow it, it follows the same beat story wise as the Neck of the Pretty Serpent story, which is actually there's like folklorish ones that are aligned with that closer than the mythological ones. So it's a very interesting movie, and it's very interesting that Neck of the Pretty Serpent was the first major blockbuster in Nollywood. That's what put Nollywood on the map as far as Nigeria goes, right? Before then, it was just kind of a niche thing that not everybody knew what was going on. So, yeah. Show. Is your mom Christian? Oh, big time, yeah. My mom is a child of Jesus. Yeah, yeah, yeah. My mom's a child of Jesus. But my mom just told me today that if she would have grew up different, she would have been a Debia. Because when we were little, she would always have dreams that would see things and tell her things, right? And she would share, and like sometimes I'd be like, I remember one time my friend and his dad wanted to go to like an indoor like racing thing, right? and my mom had a dream that something bad had happened to me. And I was like, I had already told him, yeah, yeah, I'm gonna go because I was staying the night at his house. So, and I was like, I'm gonna go. Let me just go home and change my clothes, right? So I went home to go change my clothes. I let my mom know, hey, we're about to go to this thing, and she's like, no, 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 you can't do that. You can't do that. And I'm like, wait, why? And she's like, because I just had this dream last night that something bad happened to you. In fact, you should just stay home. And it was the most embarrassing thing on earth because I got to turn around and tell these like Nebraskans like, hey, my mom had a dream. My mom had a dream, and I can't go nowhere. And I was pissed. I was angry. I was embarrassed. All this stuff. And I remember I went to go talk to my sister, and I was like, my older sister. I was like, can you like, I'm tired of this dream, yada 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 yada. And my sister's like, I think she's right though. And I'm like, man, I felt bad. I'm still pissed about that story, even though now I'm grateful because a lot of like her dreams pan out, right? So I'm grateful that she did that. But yeah, it was just a random memory that came to me. We praise Jesus and Chineke. Yes, we do. Igbo land is part of Biafra country that's yet to be actualized. Yes, yes, it is. Yes, it is. Igbo land is part of it. As is the G in Jesus. It's funny because I knew a lot of Igbos being super Christian, but we'll curse you. Destiny and Igbo quick. Yeah, yeah. Most Igbo people are Christian. Yeah. My mom's Christian. My mom's Christian. My dad's not. My mom's side of the family is very religious. My dad's side of the family is not religious at all. Like they're not spiritual either. Um, I mean, let me not say that even because when it's time to do something, they'll do it, right? When there's time to do anything traditional, they'll do it, but it's not like they don't walk around with like a badge or anything. Like it's not, you wouldn't know, right? That kind of thing. But like if this needs to be done, they'll do it. If that needs to be done, they'll do it. That kind of thing. That's how Odinani is anyway. It's very casual, right? A lot of people ask me, oh, where can I go to the Odinani temple? All of that. It's not really like that, right? It's not really like that. It's just life. It's just living your life. It's just life. But it's an insight on life. So you encounter this, you have an insight on this, you can do this to fix that problem, you move about, that kind of thing, right? Cool. So let me see if you guys got any more questions. Were you ever religious? No, never. I think this is the most religious I've ever been, in my whole life. But I've never been religious growing up as a kid. I remember we were in Nigeria. Oh, I had to have been 7 years. No, I had to have been six. I was six, and my sister was maybe 7, 8. And I remember oh God, I remember these. Oh man, I don't want to dissuade anybody from going to Nigeria because this is the 90s. It was different, right? I remember these church guys came to our village, and a lot of times people come to our village, they would stay in our house. And so they were staying in our house. I remember I thought one of them was really cool. I thought he was a really cool guy, and I used to hang out with him and that kind of thing. Which I mean, I don't know how much of the story I want to tell. Nothing bad happened to me. I don't know how much of the story I want to tell, but I may not have been here, yo. And so I used to hang out with this guy, my older friend, and they had a church, or they were like traveling evangelists, In the 90s, the evangelism thing really started getting big. And so they were doing exorcisms, and I remember they were doing the exorcism, like Almighty Yahweh, Almighty Yahweh. Oh, they're doing that whole thing, And I remember there was a cousin of mine who used to stay with us who went there, and he like touched her. She was all like shaking. And I was like, man, this girl had demons in her the whole time. We just been sitting. I remember my sister, we just kept laughing. Like we were laughing the whole time. Everybody in the church was like, yes, yes. And we were just laughing, laughing, laughing. So every time I remember, I just knew that it was never in me to really be a religious person, right? I'm not really a religious person, that kind of thing. So I think this period of my life is definitely the closest to religious I've ever been. So yeah. Not demons. Yeah, we used to play. I have a scar in my head because we used to play tag, and she pushed me one time, and I hit the corner of a wall and split my head open. And come to find out, it was a demon that did it. Come to find out, it was a demon that did it. The reason I say that I'm grateful to be alive was because it's gonna be a real harsh pivot. Those guys, it was later, they were later arrested, those same evangelist group. They were later arrested because they had human heads in duffel bag, like not Ghana must go bags. Yeah, they had human heads in how they got found later on. And it was my dad that was like, these look at the people you're letting in our house. And so yeah, I didn't know if this very nice older man was a nice older man because this is who he was. I mean, he wasn't because he was killing people, but I didn't know if he was like sizing me up, man. I got a pretty big head, and I don't know. After that, we were just kind of like, whoa. So yeah, I've not been religious. Whenever they would come with their stuff in Nigeria, it would always just kind of look funny to me. They had what? Yeah, man. I've seen some things. I'll probably share the full story in one of my videos. But yeah, they found out that they were ritualists, and they were probably in organ trading. They were probably trading people's organs. It's gonna sound crazy. It is crazy, but they were probably trading people's organs under the guise of being evangelists. And there was an organ there was an epidemic of that in Nigeria in like the early 1990s, because they were selling it to like hospitals in the United States. And that ended because of the HIV epidemic. The doctors didn't want organs from sub-Saharan Africa, and so they shifted to Egypt, and primarily targeting like Eritreans and Ethiopians that were trying to sneak into Israel, like the Sinai Peninsula. That's where they'd get them. And then from there, they moved to India and Malaysia. And so, anybody that knows about Malaysia, that's what a lot of people are there doing. So, yeah, in the United States, yeah, like the organ, I mean, it's just organs, they sell them everywhere. They sell them everywhere, that kind of thing. Oh, this person needs an organ. Oh, we found an organ. Man, if you knew how they found some of them organs, boy. Well, I don't know. I'm definitely going to get demonetized talking about this nonsense. So, yeah, black market organs. Exactly. Yeah. So, it was a really bad pandemic. That's a wild, wild rabbit hole. Yikes. Yeah, yeah, man. It's a horrible way to kick off New Year's, isn't it? Have you ever been hypnotized? No. No, I don't think I have been. No, I don't think I have been. I haven't had the opportunity to be hypnotized, so I would like to try it to see if it works. But no, I've never been hypnotized. Good question. Have you, Udochi? Have you? And did it work? Those missionaries, SMH. Well, I mean, I don't know if I call them missionaries. They were when I say when you say missionary, I'm thinking somebody coming like, some I'm thinking some person coming and, but these are just regular ass Igbo asshole guys, man. Is regular people from around the way. Yeah, man, this guy was like, he was my homie. I thought I was cool because I had this older friend, and I'd be like, oh, they've come back, and I'd sit next to them. They'd be talking and stuff like that. I'd be feeling cool because I'm sitting with these older people. Man. Yeah, I don't know. Anybody that grew up with like I feel like anyone that grew up in the 90s should be considered a survivor, man. Parents are more off guard than like younger parents these days are. We're kind of like too paranoid now, right? We're way too, I can't imagine letting my son just kind of roam around outside, though I'm going to force myself to, but I can't, it's hard to do. But back in the day, I was just what it was like, yeah, go outside, that kind of thing. I'm not saying like go outside in front of the yard. I'm talking like I used to walk like damn. I remember one time I was living in a small town with only black family, and like I scaled the entire town. I walked from one end of town to another. Now, looking with what I know now, would I let my son do that? I was probably like 9. Would I let my 9-year-old son do that? I don't know. But I don't want to deny him of the fun that I had if he wants that kind of fun. Though my son is like 20 times more cautious than me and my wife combined, so he'll probably be the one saying, "No, that's not a good idea." So yeah. Yeah, yeah, missionaries can be local to the, yeah, honestly, I think it was funny about missionary work right now is I think Nigerians, actually send more missionaries to the West than the West sends missionaries to Nigeria. And if you live in like Houston or like I think maybe New Jersey, I don't know, things like that, you'll know exactly what I'm talking about. But yeah, they send missionaries to the West all the time. But I mean to like evangelize to other Nigerians and Africans and things like that. Though I did meet this one girl that that used to be a part of a Nigerian church, and she was trying to get me on an MLM scam, um, and then just ended up just telling me her entire life story for no reason. But yeah, she was part of one of those mountain of fire joints, you know. Well, the governments are telling the international community that herders and farmers conflict, which is otherwise. Please make research. Try to talk to people over there in Nigeria. Show. Hold on, I'm trying to understand this. But their governments are telling the international community that herders and farmers conflict, which is otherwise. Reginald, I don't understand the comment, so if you want to elaborate, that would be great. If you don't want to, that's fine too. But that Oregon thing, it's not happening anymore. This is like something that happened for very strongly for like 3 years or 2 years, and then it went away. It's not a thing anymore. I don't want anybody to think that that's what's going on in Nigeria. It is not going on. That's just not what's going on anymore, right? Period. There was just a little spike at a point, you know, but again, it's just not what's going on. There's issues in Nigeria, of course, but that's not one of them. So I don't want to create the impression like sometimes people come back like, oh, hey, you said this thing. I'm like, no, this is the whole context of it. So I want to be very clear in what I'm saying. It's not what's going on. The Oregon thing is not what's going on in Nigeria right now. When I think of missionaries, I think of those Mormon boys on bikes, wearing button-up shirts. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, I can't share that story. Hold on. To teach white people about white Jesus. Yeah. Yeah, man. Isn't that crazy? Yeah, it's crazy, you know? Please, it's gonna be on, and your mom right now will tell you better. Oh shit. All right. All right. I actually do wonder if Nigerian immigrants research racism in America before coming genuinely. No, no, they don't, but somehow they don't expect it to be different. They don't expect like it's not like they research it, but they know it exists, and they don't expect. I think the thing is the expectation level is like, yeah, of course they're gonna act like that, right? And then from there you just kind of move on and do whatever you're trying to do, you know, while people are dinging your head and and doing whatever this country wants to do. But no, everyone's aware of it. Everyone's aware of it. There's no such all those people that say, "Oh, we didn't know." It's like everybody is aware of racism, and everybody is aware specifically of the racism in the United States because the U.S. has the microphone of the world, has the microphone. So anything happens in America gets blasted out very loud, right? Everybody knows about it. You know, anybody that tells you they don't, that is crazy. But like, they don't really like a lot of Nigerian immigrants. They expect it. Uh-oh. There we go. My bad. They expect it, but it's not, you know, that doesn't shock anybody. It'll annoy anyone, of course, but it doesn't shock them. There. Reginald, I don't know what you're talking about. Okay, yeah, that the shooting they had, I think, in some church in Anambra or something like that. Yeah, I heard about that. I don't know what that had to do with what I was talking about previously. You know, that's what I'm saying. Yeah, yeah, dang, Rich. Yeah, man, we're trying to kick off the New Year's in a festive mode. So, you're also being kind of cryptic, Reginald. You're being kind of cryptic, man. I don't want to single you out, but What is gonna happen that we're not aware of? Just let us know. Is it the herds? Is it the Fulani thing? Are you saying that the Fulani thing's gonna happen, or the Fulani thing is not really what's happening? There's something else happening behind it. Because that was the impression I got from your first post, right? So it's not that I'm not aware of what you're talking about. I just want to know what context you're presenting the information. So yeah. It's a dang, Reginald, you're kind of serious tonight. That is happening. I think Reginald was responding to. Oh, okay. Okay. I think Reginald was responding to me asking how bad the conflict between North and South Nigeria. Because some Nigerians online make it sound like y'all are in a perpetual state of war. Um, it's not bad, but it's not good, right? It's not bad, but it's not good. There was earlier in the past 2 years, it was very, very, very bad, right? But there seems to be a rebalancing going on right now, and overall, I think that the two portions of Nigeria are way too different to work together in as intimately as the country forces them to do, right? And most Nigerians will agree with this. And so it's not like you go there and it's like Hotel Rwanda, but it it's hard to explain. I don't know, it's hard to explain. But yeah, it's intense. It's intense, but I don't want to go into a whole explanation of everything. As far as the conflict, it's not really what my channel is about. But I don't know. It's just like two people with two very different lives being made to like live together. So whatever comes with that, if you're at a bad roommate, it's just that on a national scale with guns sometimes. Does northern Nigeria operate on Sharia law? Yeah, technically a lot of northern states are under Sharia law, but I have a feeling that it's pretty lax. But yeah, a lot of northern states are under Sharia law, yes. Derek, how come your family chose to live in America and not the UK? America's the best, man. What? No, I was about to flex about America and rag on UK, but no, I get way too much love from the UK to do that. Um, why do my parents? Okay, so one of my dad's heroes growing up, was a man by the name of Nzeribe. Now, for those of you who know Igbo land and Igbo history well, it is not Bu Nzeribe. It's Oh no, it's not Arthur Nzeribe. It's Bu Nzeribe, right? Arthur Nzeribe is a nefarious character. That is not who I'm talking about. But there was a man, and they're from similar places. So whenever I say Nzeribe, and people who know like the area will be like, "Oh, really?" And I'm like, "No, not him." So Nzeribe was his hero, or one of his heroes growing up. And Nzeribe went to the University of Nebraska, right? And so Nzeribe came back and he was this big, awesome guy. So everybody was like, oh man, like if we go to Nebraska, like we want to be like him, that kind of thing. It's like buying Jordans, right? Only with the university. And so a whole bunch of my dad's friends and peers all applied to the University of Nebraska, and they all went there. And there was this big influx of Nigerians from Awamama in Nebraska at the time, and they all moved and went their separate ways. Funny enough, I don't know if you guys know the comedian Godfrey, but his parents had come before my parents, and they are somehow connected with that first wave. I think his parents were kind of like helping out a lot of people that were just coming, like get situated and things like that with that situation. But I know that my parents and his parents, if anybody's connected to him, reach out, long shot, but whatever. His parents and my parents kind of knew each other. I remember one time they went to Chicago and they hung out with them. And then they came back and asked me, hey, do you guys know Godfrey? And this was back in the early 2000s. So like this is around the time he was like in Soul Plane. And I was like, yeah, that guy like in Soul Plane, like, yeah, yeah, his parents are so and so, that kind of thing. So there was a whole bunch of Nigerians that came to Nebraska because of Nzeribe, and we came here, and it was just like, I'm here right now. I'm actually here right now, and it was definitely a strange move. They claimed to learn, but they went to school, they lived their lives, they raised their kids, and all that thing. My family was the only family that stayed. Everybody else left. My family's the only family that stayed. But if you know this place and you know my dad, you know that it works. It fits. It makes sense. That kind of thing. But dad like drives a truck and or drove a truck back in the day. Likes doing building stuff and all that stuff. So he's like a very typical Midwesterner. So yeah. Upcoming elections calming people down and giving them hope. Udochi says the upcoming election is calming people down and giving them hope. Yes, that is true until until it stops giving them hope. But yes, the election is calming things down. It's really hard to explain Nigeria because it always sounds extreme, and then you get there and you're like, oh, like, okay, it's not that deep, you know. But if you learn about Nigeria by ear, you're gonna have a heart attack. If you go there, you'll just kind of learn it's a different kind of environment, and some of these things are just kind of normal, right? And not that deep. Some of them are extremely, the big deal, that kind of thing, but it's hard to explain. We're talking politics now. Yeah, let's talk about Nigerian politics. I'll go in. Asking because interested in ancestral economic ideas that could be applied to alternatives to capitalism. Open hands. I'm gonna get right back to that. That's a dope question. Uh, Sharia law, upcoming elections. Next election might end Nigeria if Tinubu doesn't win. His running mate Shitima is the co-founder of Boko Haram. Yeah, yeah. There's a guy running for president right now in Nigeria, and his partner is like a suspected founder of the, I think, second biggest terrorist organization on earth. And so that's just kind of the weird stuff that happens in Nigeria. And so you hear that, you're just like, but somehow it's normal. Yeah, yeah. But I don't think Tinubu and Shatima have that much pull. I have a friend from Imo State seeking asylum in Texas because of how dangerous it is for LGBTQ people in Nigeria. It's sad. Okay. Um, okay, so yeah, I'm gonna go back to Hope's question. Free Namdi Kanu, man. Free my boy, man. Free that man. Hey. Or Hamadike. Free or Hamadike. you know. Just tread carefully when dealing with the divided duck of America. All right. Reginald is okay. All right, so I'm going back to Hope. I'm trying to find Hope's question. Okay. Why do I keep calling you Hope? Open hands. Um, does four market days influence an economic system that could be applied to in the modern sense? Okay, so yes, absolutely. We have had at least two really good discussions of it on the Patreon. So if you're on Patreon, just message me and I'll send you the link to the replay if you're an Eze patron. But we've gone really in depth as far as that economic system. But the four market days is an applicable economic system. And what is interesting about the four market days, I mean, there's just a lot to it. It's not something I can answer as like a quick answer to a question, but yes, it can be applied. So I'll just gloss over some things. One, the idea of rotational markets, I think, is ingenious and it's brilliant. And it creates a situation where it prevents wealth from hemorrhaging on one side of town, right? From hemorrhaging on one side. What is that? So let's say you had like a neighborhood, like a neighborhood, like, I don't know. I guess we're all from everywhere. So let's just say you had a neighborhood. In this neighborhood, there would be a rotational market, right? Or let's say there was four neighborhoods. There would be a rotational market. So every day, one neighborhood gets the opportunity to have the market, right? And so on, let's call it, on Eke Day, the Eke community will have the market, and everybody will go there and buy. On Orie, the Orie, Afo, the that kind of, and then it just keeps rotating and rotating. And what this does, and what it did for our ancestors, is it created a situation where, for the most part, most communities in Igbo land are general equals, right? They're general equals. In the modern day, even in the era of like the pre-modern era, right? Like right before colonialism, there were some that were like, you'll have some that just become very strong and that kind of thing, and then they go back down, and then others rise and then they go back down, that kind of thing. So there's a lot of up and down going, right? People get their time here and there and there. But for the most part, but that was usually by way of like some type of system outside of the market system. Okay, so the slave trade was one of the things that caused that, and then various spiritual things like the movement of the shrine, or the abara known as nechuku, that kind of thing. So that's a whole different thing. But that rotational idea creates a situation where no community has a hemorrhaging of wealth. There's no such a thing as we're going to go to this side of town because they have this. Everybody gets the opportunity to have that thing, and it also creates this interconnectivity of the communities where they need each other, and they are in essence one, because the single current of economic activity is flowing through them. The second thing that I think that can be applied to modern economics is the idea of the isusu, though in many states isusus are illegal. And so what it is these markets are controlled by women, right? When it comes to markets, the Eke, Ori, Afo, Nkwo, these are women's markets. The leader is a woman, and the leader of it becomes the leader of women in the community, right? The Omo. She has different names, different titles, that kind of thing. So this market is a union of women. It's actually a union of women, right? And so these women, what they'll do is whenever it's their market day, they're going to pool a bunch of money together, and then somebody in that organization is going to receive all of the money. Somebody's going to receive all of the money from all the women who pool a certain amount of money together, and that kind of thing, right? And this creates a situation where the primary source of income in the market, like on a well-run market, is not from what you're selling. It's not from the buying and selling of items. It's actually from that pool. That pool is what allows you to live the lifestyle you want to live, right? And this creates a situation where you are detached from, well, I put it this way. You can sell things at a more reasonable price, right? You can sell things that if a poor person comes, you can sell it at the poor person's price, right? I only have $5. Okay, here you go. Because that's not really your main source of income. You come to learn that the Igbo market system, especially the women's markets, it's not really about the selling. It's not really about the buying and the selling, right? I told a story. No, it's on Patreon. Okay, one of the group studies, I told the story of how the market. No, check out my 4 market day video. I told a story about the origin of the 4 markets, and then from there we went in depth. Oh, hey, Namdi, I'm down here. Yeah, my son wants to join. Hey, man. Hey, Daddy. Hey, the New Year's coming soon. No, we still got 4 minutes.
We're going to do the countdown at 11:58.
Okay, we're going to do the countdown, yes. Okay, cool.
At 11:58.
All right. My son likes these kind of things, countdowns and numbers and stuff like that. So that Isuzu system creates a situation where the buying and selling of items is not your lifeblood, and therefore it can be more of a service. Your stall, your market can be more of a service. Like, for example, now when I go home, I can go to the market and I can go, hey, I want to get, 5 cubes of Maggi. And then I'll say, but I don't have any money right now. I can come back. Let me come back like in 2 days. Right. And it's normal. It's normal.
Video games?
Right?
You can play video games?
Yes. Let me finish this. Okay. Cool. So let me come back in 5 days. Let me come back in 4 days. And it's normal and it helps a lot of families at home. So those are 2 things that can be applied. And then the third thing is the fact that it is a union of women. Right. So anytime you have a situation that doesn't favor or like it's okay. Think about labor unions, right? The forming of a labor union. Now the workers have a choice, a voice. Da, 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 da. In Igbo societies, women had these unions too, right? Women had these same unions, right? And I'm not saying that they're the workers or whatever, but you know what I mean. And so then they have this extra bargaining chip in the community that is undeniable. And anybody who's been home in the village, right? If Ndinyem look for your if Ndinyem are on your ass, you're finished, right? There's no such a thing as Ndinyem want this to happen, but I'm gonna make this happen instead. So all of those three things, there's a whole bunch. I can go on and on and on about this. This is actually something that I'm working with a close partner on, trying to develop a way to adapt this in like the United States. But it's an entirely different economic system. The Isusus then also work as banks, as ways of taking loans. They like if somebody has a death in the family, they contribute money for the funeral. If somebody has to go to the hospital, they're a form of insurance. And I mean, it's just a really powerful thing to have. And then of course men have their own, but it's not connected to the four market day system. Men have their societies and their title system and that kind of thing. So I'm very, 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 very happy you asked that. That is a very cool question. Open hands. Thank you very much. If you're on Patreon, message me. We can talk a lot more about it. Because I have a feeling that you're thinking about something. Ori Oba competes with Obalofo. Okay. People are trying to figure out replacement for people are people are definitely trying to figure out a replacement for capitalism. So if there are ideas from the Igbo system that you can adopt in that replacement, I think that market day system is one of the most brilliant contributions to the human thought that I can think of, because it works. Out by name. Markets are usually called out by the name of the town. Yeah. No town close by would have the same market day. He says, son of Nook. Hey, Ibu Wafo. Hey, I think we just hit New Year in where I'm at. Happy New Year! Woo! Namdi, Happy New Year! We'll tell Grandma that it's New Year. And we just hit 12. We just hit 12 o'clock. Happy New Year, everybody. Hi, unu gade, unu geto, nke ọbụla nu tiri aka, ọ ga-adị n'ụwa, ọ ga-adị nnọọ n'eke, n'orie, n'afọ, na nkwọ, ise. Hey! Unu bụ ọbara Chukwu. Unu bụ ọbara Chukwu. Unu bụ otu mmụọ. Yes. New Year. Yes, it is. Woo! Anyị bụ otu mmụọ, otu obi, otu aka, otu ije.
And do everything we want.
Yeah! High five, man. Yeah, all right. So I told my son that you don't have to sleep on New Year, so he's lit. 2 hours ago here in PDX. All right, I'll hang out for a little longer. So yeah. Yes, but every market is associated with a town. I'm on Patreon, so I'll message you for discussions. Yes. But this is a great explanation. Okay, I appreciate it. I'm glad you got that. It's a good idea, which means I'm sure it will. Yeah, it's illegal. When I found out they're illegal, I'm like, oh man, they got this sewed up. Because a lot of black women in through the entire history of the United States have been doing Isusu systems, right? And then they just started banning a bunch of them around the time of integration, or they're making it illegal. And they started saying that, they're susceptible to scams. They're scams, and people scam each other. They're susceptible. But I think it's something that if it's legal in your locality, that anybody can adopt and put together. And if anybody's interested in adopting and putting it together, or figuring out how to make it work amongst a group of people, message me on Patreon. I can help with that. I have ideas. Because there's very little that, one of the things that makes those systems work is having the culture that allows it to work. So a culture has to be built before it is implemented. You can't just have any susu system with the way America is right now, or like American kind of culture, I guess, because people go to banks, and then people don't like to be told what to do, and people don't cooperate well, right? And everybody's very well, I think this, and okay, because I think this, I'm gonna leave this whole thing, and this whole thing's gonna have to implode and feel my wrath. Happy New Year! Woo! It's officially 2023.
Everything? It's 2023?
Yeah.
Did you check?
I checked, man. Look, the date is 1/1/2023.
Yay!
You said, yes, all right.
Oh, almost my neck is itched a little bit.
Oh, no. It's okay. Here's some water.
I was talking too loud.
Okay, I have water if you need it. Uh-oh. This phone's probably going to fall a couple of times. These things used to really stress me out when I first started the channel, but I'm more chill now. Hold on. I used to have full-blown panic attacks when like one little thing would go wrong. Give me a minute. But I think it gives the character, it gives the channel character.
Daddy, can you teach me how to plug the video game things? Because I don't know how to do the video game thing.
What video game thing? Oh, your Uncle Darren's video game?
Yeah.
Oh no, they're not. Your Uncle Darren took the video game box, so those don't work anymore. Okay. So maybe next time we're with your Uncle Darren, he'll show you. Okay. Cool. All right. So yeah,
Darren?
yeah, that's his video game. All right.
So he wants to play the video game?
Namdi, yeah. Let me do this, okay? All right, cool. So my biggest issue with decolonization was the leaning towards Marxist theory. Oh, all the indigenous knowledge y'all have access to, and y'all want to settle for some ideology of a different. Yeah. I don't know. I think that whole Marx thing was a phase. I think that was very 2015. I think everybody's back to not being on that. But yeah, a lot of, well, this is why that happens. A lot of people go to Africa as a way to rebuke or negate white people. And I think that is very wrong. And I think that if you do that, you're going to have a very shallow experience in your journey, and you're not going to be rewarded for it. And that's it. My heritage and your culture and your existence is not a shadow or a Wario for somebody's Mario, right? For Europe's Mario. We're not the opposite of anything. We're not the other type of or the other alternative. And so usually when people are rebuking Europe, they also rebuke capitalism. And then in rebuking capitalism, you go to what Europe told you is the opposite of capitalism, which is Marxism. And whatever. I don't so a lot of people go towards Africa as, because I'm escaping something. Well, that's still being very Eurocentric. It's like them Christians that, let me leave that alone. But yeah, it's like just don't do that, man. If you want to do that, if that's what your chi says, do it. I would advise you not to, because I think there's a lot more to gain when you don't center Europe or opposing Europe, which is when you're centering opposing Europe in your thinking, you're still centering Europe. So if you're not centering Europe or the West in your thinking and your understanding and your approach to Africa, then those strange mistakes don't happen. But yeah, people do that. I know people are looking for an alternative to capitalism. That's been proposed as an alternative. I think that Marxist theory, there's a lot, everything Marx says is true, but it's coming from a very shallow perspective and understanding of humanity, and it's not written for your black ass, so. Not written for your black ass. So yeah, it's whatever, you can try. It's been tried, Of course, America did a lot of sabotaging, so I'm not one of those people that say, "Oh, it's been tried, it didn't work." Right? It works, but there's this overwhelming force that tries to mess it up every time somebody tries it. But even within that overwhelming force, there are systems of it that work. You understand? And when it does work, it's a very beautiful thing to see, right? I think the greatest thing about American society is the U.S. public library system. That is, I love that to like, I think that is one of the most amazing things ever. I think it's great, right? I think that needs to be replicated as much as possible in all well-doing or well-wishing societies. But so yeah, that's an example of it. It is an example of it working. Um, but I don't know. I don't like. I think that oftentimes when people do connect like Africa and Marx and all that stuff, it's just somebody who's like trying to like be defiant towards. Oh, it's just somebody who's trying to be defiant towards the West and to minimize the oldest, most historically profound continent as a negation of something else is very unfortunate. So if people can do what they want, but I wouldn't advise it. That might have been propaganda too. What are we talking about? They do WhatsApp groups to raise money for funerals all the time. That's what's up. That's good. Unqual. About Unqual. My biggest issue. Okay, cool. Like y'all had your own economic systems. Yeah, exactly.
Dad,
So
we're
yeah,
gonna have to celebrate this New Year's party.
I'm coming upstairs very soon. Okay.
We're gonna celebrate the New Year's party.
Yes, we are. I'm gonna come upstairs with you guys. Okay. Cool. So yeah, you guys hit me with some heavy questions, and I'm not even ready for these. What we're gonna do? How to agree with that? It was my own reason for the question. Cool.
Why does it say 1, not 0?
Why does it say 1, not 0?
Yeah,
Where?
here.
Oh, because it doesn't say 1. It says 0.
No. That. It just says 1.
Oh, because I don't. Well, some people write 0, 1. Some people write 1. It's just different.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it means the same thing, right? Because 0 means nothing, so sometimes you don't have to write it. Yeah. So where are we at? Reading books from the 70s that keep comparing Marxism to indigenous cultures. This is a pretty long fad. Yeah, no. It's the current has always existed, but there was a fad where people in my age group were really into it, right? And I'd say 2013, 2015. And then now I've noticed they're back to like, gossiping about rappers and just doing the normal stuff. So,
This place wasn't open.
so yes, the current has always existed, right? Namdi,
This room wasn't old. This room wasn't old in 2021.
It was old in 2021. This is a very old house.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But 2021 is.
But what about 2020? Is the house still old?
Yes, but it was less old than it is now. Yeah, guys, I'm gonna have to wrap it up, man. I think I'm being summoned for for another cause. Thanks for the talk. You should enjoy your family. Yes, open hands. I agree with you. All right, guys.
Happy New Year.
Namdi says Happy New Year. They can't see you. Why don't you come this way and say it?
Happy New Year.
Yeah, Happy New Year. All right, let's go have a party, okay?
Let's go have the New Year's party. I'm so excited.
Yeah. All right, y'all. Happy New Year. All right, guys. I'll see you guys later. Yes, Happy New Year. Okay, cool. Can't take care. Oh no, God, dude.
Send them the video.
Yes. Well, I'm live. They can see the video right now.
Are they watching it?
Uh-huh.